Yes. Welcome to another great episode of La Vida Luka, where it's all Luka, all Mavs, all the time. We're recording this episode Friday, and this is before the Nets game. But we're going to be talking about stuff about All-Star break, right? This should be the midpoint. We're going to talk about the second half of the season. The schedule came out. We're going to talk about some matchups. We're going to be talking about some trade rumors. It's quite a few there, and obviously there's going to be a couple going around the NBA. We'll talk about those, and we'll also talk about the Western standings. Where do the Mavs sit? Where do they need to be, and who are they really in competition with, and for what seed? But thank you again for tuning in. We are so excited to talk about the Mavericks. As always, if you have any questions or things you want us to talk about, please hit us up and let us know. And hey, give us a follow and share this with your friends and family, and we really appreciate it. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm just confused at the Maverick situation because I'm not sure what to believe in the Kristaps Porzingis trade rumors or not. Because
Yeah,
on one hand, Mark Cuban vehemently denied them. On the other hand, he has been out for 3 games with a back stiffness of some sort.
right.
I,
And the weird thing with that is the Mavericks, postponed 3 of their games, right? They're off the whole week. So we're like, what is going on here, right? Like how so people were making jokes, did he slip on the ice in Texas that week? Like what is going on? Like how did he get injured while not playing any games?
yeah, I'm not sure, but it sounds like some of the rumors have been confirmed with some the outside sources, and the NBA writers have confirmed some of the stories, especially the one that they've talked to Golden State Warrior, or at least tried to reach out to see what they're interested in, which is interesting in both ways. I said it on the last episode, and I want to maintain my continuity of this. I think it's early to blow things up and trade Kristaps because I think that we had so many injuries, and the COVID issue we had earlier for about 10 games or so, and his injury history. It's hard to tell what things could be achieved with who we have. But the one thing that is clear is that his injuries are hurting him on the defensive side and a little bit on the offensive side, but really clearly on the defensive side. And I think that's what the Mavericks are a little frustrated with.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've been reading is like KP is one of the worst players on defense, like if not the worst in the post, and it's just sad to see. But I kind of agree with you. There are rumors. We've heard some chatter. Like you mentioned, there are a couple articles out there. One was, putting the Warriors and Mavericks together of a potential trade. Another one came out saying the Wizards are keeping an eye out on Porzingis. So let's kind of like dive into this. If it did happen, what we think could happen, why, the pros and cons of it. But I'll say this right here. I still don't think they'll trade him now because I think you need him to be hot, right? If you're gonna trade him,
Mhm.
you have to trade him like with good value, right? Like who's gonna be trading for like this contract for the next 3 years with someone who's been missing a lot of games? I mean, you just won't get the proper value for it.
Yeah, that's the downside of trying to make a trade right now. That's a huge negative. I think you're going to get less of a value, less of a haul for him if you dump him before the salary, before the trade deadline.
Right, right. Yeah, you definitely need, like I said, I think, I'll still continue with this. Like you said, I think they're going to hold on to him at least for this season. Maybe in the summer is when they'll, start taking some trade calls for him. And I think, we've seen glimpses of Luka and Porzingis play well together, right? And like I said, there's always things going on. Half the team's missing. Either Luka's out, KP's out. This from last year, right? Even when KP came back, they haven't played that much together. I don't know, 50 games together. And, you have the quarantine going on. You had the huge break between the Orlando bubble and last season. So, like, there's still a lot of things going there. I still have hope that this could work out, but let's see what happens. But if this did happen, I think, I'm not too big fan of trading for all these like big players and like Andrew Wiggins and whatnot because I think they have bad contracts, right? So like if I was looking for a Kristaps trade, I'm fine. I'm sure you can get some decent role players. Just give me a first round pick and give me expiring contracts, right? Give me expiring contracts, maybe like one good stud, like upcoming player, maybe like whatever. But like, give me expiring contracts, give me a first round pick. That's all I really want. I'm fine with a first round pick for Kristaps, right? Because you know what, going into the summer, if you just had that and you had expiring contracts, you have enough money to get like two max free agents, you know. And when we've talked about this, I'm a huge fan of John Collins. I think John Collins would be perfect with this team, with or without KP. And then you can also add like a Kelly Oubre or a Victor Oladipo. You know what I'm saying? Like you could instantly just get so much better, and just for a first round pick, I think just shedding that salary would be fantastic.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think also, I agree. I saw a trade proposition for Angel Wiggins in the second round pick, and I thought, how much value extra is Angel Wiggins bringing over Dorian Finney-Smith? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth. I don't know if that's an equivalent trade for KP. But I think if you can get like a big man at Oubre in like a first round, or like a Kevin, I saw one with Kevin Looney and Oubre in like a first round. I think that's good because you kind of hit the spots that the Mavs have needs in. But I don't know how much teams would be willing. I read an article that said I think they can maybe pull off a late first round pick for KP, maybe
Right.
if you find the right trade suitor.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he fits with the Warriors. Like right now, it sounds like he will fit with the Warriors a little better, just because they have Draymond to kind of fill that defensive need down in the post. That's the one thing. If the Mavs were to keep KP, they would need to find a big that will help kind of cover up his defensive liability, whether that's Drummond or I don't know Blake Griffin, somebody that plays somewhat of I don't know Blake Griffin, but
Right.
somebody that can cover that up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's still a little tough thing. Everyone, the front office fans debating, oh, is KP better suited at the 4, the 5? Like, what are you doing there? It's a little hard. And like I said, I don't know the exact valuation of what other teams would
Mm-hmm.
want for KP, so it's hard to like. I'm not gonna, NBA trade machine you here because I think that's just bullshit. Like you see that on Twitter all the time. I'm just like, some of these are just so stupid. But with the Wizards, obviously Beal wants to stay with Washington. I think KP would make sense with the Wizards only because like I think KP's contract and Russell Westbrook's end at the same time, right? So you like to have this total rebuild once they're off the cap. But I can just dream there. I think Beal would be fantastic. Obviously, I would love that. Bertrand's deal, he does get paid like 15 million per year, but he is a good 3-point shooter, which would go really well with Luka. But I don't want to keep coming up with these scenarios over here. But I'm just saying, if it did happen, I just don't want to have too many contracts moving forward. Like Wiggins, I think still gets paid for another year or two or whatever, and I don't want him to be eating up cap space like that. I'd rather just hold on to KP and hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys on the roster that get a significant chunk of our cap right now. It's Hardaway, Powell, Johnson, and KP have the
Yeah,
biggest chunks of it. KP with
exactly.
the most, and then Hardaway right after.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we'll talk about right here is kind of like going to the summer. I just want to have this flexibility. You know what I'm saying? So like, obviously James Johnson, I think he's getting paid 15 million. That's coming off the books, right? That'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hardaway's about what, 18, 19 million.
18, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Kristaps is 28, 29 million, but he's obviously still here for a couple more years. But yeah,
And then
so
Powell is 11 million.
11 million, right? So like I think if they don't make this KP move, which I'm okay if they don't, right? Like I'm not like, oh yeah, trade KP, right? There's a lot of I think with every fandom of teams, people are like, oh yeah, get rid of this guy, he sucks. But I think they can make minor moves, right? And I think whether it's bringing in a couple role players, whether it is bringing some good 3-point shooters, whether it is moving on from the free agents this summer, Tim Hardaway, Josh Richardson. Maybe it's just shedding some salary with Dwight Powell. Maybe you throw Dwight Powell in 2 picks and you're like, we don't want anything back, right? Like send us a protected second pick, right? Like I don't care for that, right? Just get off the 11 million and use that to use that this summer, right? You're already going to have enough space for one max player, right? And I think with dumping Powell, you get that 8 to 12 million range of adding another good player. And maybe that is just re-signing Josh Richardson or Hardaway, right? Whatever it may be. But I think the big situation is very complicated. I think Powell obviously has declined quite a bit, missing some open dunks, just the other day, and that was a little embarrassing to watch. So I think they do
He's
need the.
coming off an Achilles tear. Give the man some
No,
slack.
I.
We love you,
I
Dwight. We love you, Dwight Powell. We love
yeah,
you.
I mean, yeah, he's a great person, great
We
for the
love what you do in
community.
the community. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
hustle, your grit, your cheering on the sideline. We love all
yeah,
that.
yeah. We love your
That's
hustle in the
invaluable.
community.
That's intangible.
Right. Yeah, it's intangible. We want tangible results, though. We love your hustle in the community. We wish we still saw it on the court. But so I'm ready to move on from Dwight. You need to figure out your big man situation. It's been like such a big issue. Willie Cauley-Stein looked so good a couple weeks ago when we talked about it, and like so far we're not seeing too much there. Bobby looked good here and there, but like they really just need to
Yeah,
take some time.
Dwight Howard definitely smacked them last night. Dwight
Right.
Howard smacked them. There was nothing. I mean, Maxi Kleber is the only big man that can provide any form of defense that's solid consistently.
Yeah, and
Like Willie Cauley-Stein can do it in peaks and little spurts, and Dwight Powell is athletic enough, but it doesn't come across anymore. So it's hard to depend this on Maxi Kleber as good as he is defensively to fill
right.
all the voids.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, I love Kleba, but like if another team wants him, I'm okay moving on. I think he's only getting paid 8 or 9 million. It's not too
Yeah.
much. And I think DFS is actually getting paid like 4 or 5 million, which is like wow, for what he's doing, even though it's a little slumpy lately, but he's still doing his part. So let's see what happens there. So whether it's just like shedding some salary for the summer, I'm down with, just getting some more assets. And maybe they do just pull off a big trade, right? Like we've seen in the past, even the KP trade, right? Like I still think we won it, right? Like DSJ's moved on to the Detroit Pistons, Wesley Matthews, DeAndre Jordan, they didn't stay with the Knicks, right? Like so, like I think the Mavs always pull off these great moves, and a lot of them we only get once they happen, right? So like a lot of the rumors you hear, sometimes most of the time when it's associated with the Mavs, you're like, no, it's bullshit, right? So let's see what happens. I definitely do think they should make some move though, right? Whether it is to get better or whether it is to get some more assets moving into the future.
I agree. I think there are specific uh, issues that are very clear that the Mavs have to address. So whether it's preparing to address those in the summer or filling those needs in the moment, I think they have to do one of those. Whether it's another big man, another 3-and-D or wing player, or just creating that cap space, that room to get someone to fill those. I agree. I think there's definitely a clear need for a move of some sort, and that could just help with also the mood and hey, we just did something, get a little more spirit, inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the little hot streak they had been on was really good. You
Hmm.
saw Luka and Bobby dancing pregame the other night. Yeah, I felt the vibes. I was so happy for them. But yeah, you're right. I think there just needs to be a little change. A lot of people are wanting Andre Drummond, right? And you could just do Powell, James Johnson. I don't know, second round pick or something. I don't know, 2 second round picks. The Cavs actually only gave up 1 second round pick when they traded for him last year. So maybe that gets it done. We'll see what happens. But let's see what happens right there. But right now, currently speaking, the Mavs are 15 and 16. They're sitting at the 10th seed. Not too bad, right? They've been at the 12th, 13th before, so like 10th, it's not too bad. But ahead of them, they do have the Grizzlies 14-14. Behind them, Pelicans 14-18, right? So obviously at 10 you're fine, right? With the playoffs working this way, you at least get the play-in game. Ideally, though, you want to be in the top 6. You want a guaranteed spot in the
Hmm.
playoffs. So sitting at 6 are the San Antonio Spurs, right? Surprisingly, really,
That's a
really good.
surprise, yeah.
I told you, I think we talked about this before the season. I didn't think they would be that great this season. I thought in the future they had the young talent and the cap space to be good, but like DeMar DeRozan's playing really well for the team, and all around they just have really good role players to help. So that's
And
fantastic.
you got Coach Popovich at helm. I mean, he'll
Yeah,
make something happen with as little as he has. I mean, he does have some good young players. You got Aldridge now coming off the bench, and DeRozan's playing really outstanding. So,
right.
and don't forget about Patty Mills. He's always been good.
Yeah, but like when you talk about, well, we can talk more in the summer, but like the Spurs, Patty Mills coming off the books, DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, right? All these people are like free agents. So let's see what they do, who they bring back. But that team has a really bright future. I was claiming on Twitter the other day, I think just within a year or two, they're gonna be title contenders again. We'll see if Pop sticks around or not, but that team has a really bright future. So let's just talk about the top of the bracket real quick. I forgot to mention here, but like the Jazz having a surprisingly amazing season, whooping on everybody. So like when we got whooped back to back really by them, I'm not too ashamed now, right? Like everyone's getting whooped by the Jazz. Like holy crap. They're sitting at 26 and 6, right? Like woo.
And they started 2-2, I think it was.
Yeah,
Something like,
I think yeah, maybe even 2 and 3, right? Like woo.
yeah. And then
But
they went on a 10-game win streak after that.
right,
After
yeah,
that, it's been
because we were part of that 10-11 game winning
yeah.
streak
We gave
that
them
they're
two
on.
wins. We were just donating
we're like, hey, keep it up, keep it up, champ. Let's see how far you can go. But a playoff team we predicted here, but they're doing really well. You got the Clippers at number 2, Lakers, Suns, Trailblazers. All teams we expected to make the playoffs. They're doing well. Like I said, Spurs, that's number 6, a little bit of surprise. And then you've got the Warriors, Nuggets, and Grizzlies. All teams we talked about as potential contenders, right, for the playoffs. So nothing too surprising. But to get in that 6th spot, the Spurs are 16-12. So you're a couple of games behind there, but not too far back, right? I think if you get it together, if we see more of what we saw the past week outside of the 76ers game, I think you got to feel good where the Mavericks are going and where they're headed.
I agree, and we also beat the Spurs earlier in the season with a much hurt and smaller roster at the time. So I think we're right in that mix. I think we're competitive. 76ers are a good team, and as Seth Curry said, that was a bad business decision we made. So we cannot make any more bad business decisions.
Hey, we'll give it some time, okay? Yeah, so far it looks a little bad, but like
I'm just quoting Seth Curry.
You're right. Tyler Bay though, he's gonna come back soon, and like I said, I'm very happy with him.
Terry,
that's something I want to touch on real quick. The one pick I'm still upset that we didn't draft was Sadiq Bey, who was available, right? This is the one player I was like, yo, this is the guy we need. He won the Eastern Conference Player of the Year for the week for rookies just a couple weeks ago. I'm like, if only. But Josh Green,
I think he went off for 22 or 30 points or something like that one game.
Yeah, so like he's been doing really well, but Green, Terry, and Bay are doing really well in the G League. So we'll see maybe later in the season, they do get contracts and get some playing time with the Mavs. But yeah, Sadiq Bey. But right behind the Mavs, the Pelicans and Thunder are two teams I'm still a little scared about, right? Like those are teams that could creep up as time progresses because they are really talented. Even the Kings were on a hot streak for a little bit, but they've cooled off for quite a bit. But I think where the Mavs making strides, they're making strides in the right direction. They're getting better. People are healthy, so I do think they'll make the playoffs. It might be the 9th or 10th seed, but I do have hopes that it'll probably be the 7th or 8th seed in my mind. Real quickly, the second half of the season, the schedule dropped, right? Which was kind of weird. Going into the season, you only had like one half. We're like, what's happening in the second half? Which actually makes sense though, because like the second half postponed games get put in there, right? And we had 3 in just 2 weeks ago. So, do you want to talk about the schedule right here, Ryan?
Yeah, the schedule's brutal. It's brutal because when you add the mixed games in there, Mavs have 10 back-to-back games, and I believe, 38 games in 68 days? So, I mean, it's going to be a tough stretch, and a lot of the opponents are very, very tough. You get back-to-back Lakers, back-to-back Clippers. I mean, we're on another tear here.
And
so it's not going to be easy to pull out some win streaks.
It's not easy at all. So we'll go through the schedule right here. But like I have them going 41-31, and that's being pretty optimistic because like in each month they play 7 title contenders, right? I think they end off May like pretty easily, so they'll rack up some wins hopefully. But they're playing 7-8 title contenders, a couple more playoff contenders back to back to back to back. A lot of away games like you mentioned. But let's get this started here. Coming back from the All-Star break, they get to play the Spurs, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Clippers twice, the Trailblazers twice before they play Minnesota, right? So like right off the bat, they are playing these playoff contenders. This is a great way to move up the standings. You know what I'm saying? If you get on a tear here, you're doing well, but this could also push you back from the 10th to like the 12th seed, honestly. So, yeah, quite a few hard games there. Then you talk about April. I mean, they have a tough schedule of going to playing the Utah Jazz, the Rockets, the Bucks, the Spurs, the 76ers, the Grizzlies. Ooh, that is quite tough, right? Like, ooh.
Oh, my heart hurts. Oh.
Right. And before that Utah Jazz game in April, you play the Washington Wizards, who have been on like a 6-game winning streak right now. They're looking pretty good. So another little tough bit of the schedule there. And then in May, like I said, there's quite a few easy games where you can rack up some wins, but you're playing a lot of games on the road. You're playing a lot of back-to-backs. You're playing all these playoff and title contenders. But like I said, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this team. And in case worse comes to worse, I just hope they traded off all these, the salary and gained some assets. Because like I said, going into the season, we talked about the second round being where we want the Mavs, right? Like we'd be happy if they made the second round.
Hmm.
Just being in the playoffs right now seems great, right? But yeah, so let's see what happens there. What are your thoughts on the rest of the season? And what are things you're trying to look for the team to be better at this or whatnot?
It's going to be a tough end of the regular season. I don't want it to come down to May trying to get some wins, do a little too much, too little, too late kind of story. I think Mavs really have to keep their heads up because if they go on another 6-game losing streak or 10-game losing streak, that's probably gonna cap the season. So I'm really just looking forward to some type of better defense. So one of the rookies is showing up, maybe get themselves into the rotation. Because really right now it's 8 players in the rotation. It's Luka, KP, Kleber, Richardson, Finney-Smith, Hardaway Jr., and Brunson. That's pretty much who you see in the rotation consistently. So I mean, hopefully a Green or a Bay get in that rotation. I think that will help a lot, tremendously a lot. I think defensively, if not a little bit on offense. So that's what I wanted. I want to see some type of defensive improvement, whether it's a free agency addition, whether it's one of the rookies, or whatever it may be, and then be able to get some wins against some of those playoff and championship contenders to get that, we can do this mentality. Oh, we actually, and they beat some good teams. I mean, we can't discount the fact that they beat the Warriors once, they beat the Nuggets, they beat the Spurs. I mean, they beat some good. They were competitive against the Blazers. They're competitive against the Bucks. So I mean, I think the Mavs have it. I think when you have Luka can create. Luka is a top talent. So
Yeah, and Luka's been on a tear, right? Going into the season, starting out the few games, his 3-point percentage was quite bad, right? And now he's been hitting 40 to 50% per game, right? Like 6 of 8, 6 of 7. The other night, even though they lost to the 76ers, he's 50%, 3 for 6. But yeah, I think Luka's like getting that full form, the Super Saiyan mode, and I love it. It's just that the surrounding cast really needs to pick up the pace. And like I said, the 76ers, you didn't have KP, you're lacking big men, and that really destroyed you. And the rest of the team just wasn't as efficient as we had seen in the past week. So, hey, I think if they keep up the good work, they keep being, consistent. Tim Hardaway off the bench, I think what a fantastic move. And hopefully KP can stay healthy for a good stretch of these games. And let's see.
And Tim Hardaway volunteered to come off the bench. He said maybe it's better for me to come off the bench. And they're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I really worried. But I think the reason the 76ers is so hard, they don't have a matchup for Joel Embiid. They put Finney-Smith on Embiid. That's a problem. Because you can't put Boban on it. You can't put KP. You can put Kleber, but I think Kleber was more rotating for the other players, Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons. So they put Dorian Finney-Smith. I think Rick Carlisle really likes DFS more than Richardson. Richardson wasn't even in the game the other night at all. At the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was DFS. So I think there's a little favoritism. I think we haven't seen what Richardson can do because he hasn't been on the notable name guards and been forced to play the defense like DFS.
Right.
That's my tangent.
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen some aspects of Richardson coming up, right? J. Rich shooting quite a bit. He's come up on the defensive end sometimes, right? But I think he still needs to get where he needs to be for this team to be effective. They really rely on that's the reason they traded away Seth Curry, right? It was to improve their defense. And I think just the matchup with the 76ers, having like dominant bigs with Embiid, Dwight Howard still going off, that didn't help. Simmons playing really well, on defense, one, defensive player of the year candidate, annually. Him on Luka, Tobias Harris, another playmaker, and the shooting they have on that team. So it's just not it's not the greatest matchup. And like I said, when you don't have KP, your number 2 player. Of course, what can your expectations be? And I think we even talked about this going into this stretch of the Celtics and 76ers and Nets. I think you mentioned that they probably beat the Celtics, right? And they did. And we put losses for the 76ers in net. So I don't think we should be super surprised, like, oh no, we wanted them to win. Of course we want them to win, but like these are teams that are trying to win titles right now. And I think going into this Nets game, which we'll cover an episode later this week, obviously Kevin Durant's not going to be playing. KP's probable at the moment. So let's see what happens, right? Maybe they do get a W. At least I just want to see them be more competitive and be a little bit more efficient. But like I said, Luka's in full form. He's doing really well. Brunson, another player we gotta give our hat tip to. He's the second best player on this team right now.
He's been tremendous, especially with Luka on the court in the fourth quarter. They've been absolutely tremendous together. Probably one of the best duos the Mavs have starting together.
Right. Yeah. And I think in the last 3 games, Carlisle's had different lineups to start the games. You saw Bobby start against the 76ers,
Whew.
James Johnson start against the Celtics. So I think they're just trying to figure out what makes the most sense, especially when KP is out, because I think without a doubt you can say he's at least gonna miss another game in the second half of the season, at least one game. Maybe more, hopefully not. But yeah, so I think they should be okay. They should make the playoffs. I still feel pretty good about this team. I think the stretch they've been on since our last episode has been fantastic. Our last 2 episodes, right? Like they've been cooking, right? I'm way more comfortable of how they're doing as of late. So I feel like they're going to do well the second half of the season. Hopefully, we make a little minor moves to improve the team, and maybe hopefully we can shed some salary going into this summer. But I think we're at a good point. I feel pretty good about the team, and I can't wait to talk about more games and about our favorite team.
Yeah, 7-3 is nothing to complain about. So I like seeing that they were able to get a good 5-game win streak in there, lose one, rebound, win a couple. 7-3, I'll take that for the last 10 games. And there were some good ones in there too. And they were competitive against the Trailblazers. They almost won that. The Lucas shot rattled in and out. So
that's true. So I'll end this by saying I know. Hopefully Mavs fans are listening to this, but I just want to talk about this Luka thing, All-Star. I know people are like, Dame got snubbed as a starter. I don't think it's a big issue, right? I don't think it's a night and day difference. Luka has been like nearly averaging a triple-double, and you can say what you want, right? Like I've heard complaints about Trae Young not making it, and like, his teammates are out. Oh, guess what? Half of the Mavs have been out for half the season, right? Like, so like if you want to make that case, then you should make a better case for Luka. Luka's no, straight up. Dame has been doing fantastic. He's missing some players as well. They have a higher seed. I get it. I would be okay with putting Dame in, but I don't think it's like, he got snubbed. Oh, it didn't make any sense. Like Luka's been playing at an elite level, and he's playing with like a bunch of role players on his team right now, right? Like KP's been out. He's not doing that well, and the rest of the teams can't shoot threes half the time. So I think, it's a very close thing, but I'm sick of the, Dame got snubbed. Oh, Luka's not that great. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, let's just enjoy the greatness we're getting to watch. Me as a Mavs fan, I've been telling some friends, I'm just blocking out the noise of Luka's this. He's not that great. Oh, he's inefficient. Oh, he holds the ball too long. Luka's one of the greatest players. The fact that we're getting Luka right after Dirk is just a blessing. And I'm just going to enjoy the time I have and watch Luka's career as it goes along. And I'm just going to enjoy every moment of it because this is a special player. And I'm so happy he's playing for our team.
I agree. And don't forget that the Mavs schedule in the first half was the number one toughest schedule any team had. So to go 15-15 on a schedule like that, I think with a bunch of role players and KP being out, and they had 10 games without most of their starting lineup because of COVID issues, I think you got to tip your hats off to that. And I don't think at all is an insult to be like, well, it's either Dame or Luka. That is high company to be in when it would the likes of LeBron, with the Joker, everybody in that. I mean, that's a good compare. I think that's a good company to be in. And again, Dame should be in there. I agree. I mean, you can go either way with it, and I'm not upset. Someone's gonna get snubbed. If Luka was out, I'm sure people will say, "Oh, Luka should have been." So I think either way, I think it was a judgment call, coin flip in this one. Right. Obviously, Dame has been tremendous this year. He's led a team that was out, McCollum out, Nurkic out, and they're 17-11, I believe, or 18-10. I don't remember, but they're winning record like number 5. I mean, that's tremendous what Dame Miller has done. I think 28-8, 30 something and 8. I don't know, but he has good stat line, so I think he deserves all the credit and the respect to being there. I don't think it's a slight against Dame whatsoever.
Right. And they're sitting at 18-13 right now, but we also talked about like how deep this team is too, right? And that's something you can't really talk about the Mavs, right? Like this is like I've told you that some of the starters on the Mavs are bench players, right? So like I said, it's fine, it's cool. I've been happy if Dame made it instead of Luka, but like I think people are just super outraged for no reason, right? And I'm interested to see what these people thought when Russell Westbrook won the MVP and, averaged triple doubles for a couple seasons on one of the worst teams, right? Like they had one really good season, but they were a struggling team, barely making the playoffs. I don't know. They missed the playoffs as well, but people were loving Russell Westbrook, getting a triple double, but all of a sudden Luka's, almost doing that. And somehow people are still hating. So, like I said, this is La Vida Luka. I'm happy. I love the Mavs. I love Luka. So, I'm going to defend my boy and my team no matter what. So, just enjoy. If you're enjoying this, if you're listening to this podcast, just enjoy what we're seeing, right? Luka is the Wonder Boy. This is a top 5. You can say top 10 if you're a hater. Top 10 talent in the NBA, and it's just lovely to see. And
he's only 21 years old.
Yeah, he's turning 22. Actually, this week. But yes, I think his birthday is like a day or two before mine. But yeah, man, this is just fantastic. Just enjoy the ride. This team will get better, whether it's this year or next year. But like, the future is so bright with the Mavs, and it's so freaking bright with Luka. And that's why this is called La Vida Luka. We are big fans of Luka. We're big fans of the Mavs, and we can't wait to keep talking about our favorite team going forward. We hope you enjoy the All-Star break. It's happening in Atlanta. Let's see who wins the dunk contest, 3-point, the All-Star game. That should be fun to watch. We hope you love what they put out there. But until next time, we are out. Go Mavs.